All right, Ariel. Well, it's already been 7 whole days and we're already back.
Yep.
It feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah, it does. Weeks flown by. Have not gotten enough done.
Same, same. But cheers either way. Happy Friday. It's another Pints with Air coming at you guys with our new microphones, and I'm just super happy about this. Ariel's got a KX8 for his headphone amplifier tonight. Testing one out before we get it out the door. A listening test.
Yep.
Well, we've got a really exciting beer. I haven't heard of these guys before, but
Really? Oh.
yeah, this is a first for me. So
Yeah, they're quite local. I mean, they're just down the street. So from Louisville, which is next door almost. So Crystal Springs Brewing, Blood Orange Kolsch. I try to remember if we'd done a before you were here, if we did a Crystal Springs. I think we might have. Probably did, but it wasn't this one. I think so. Anyway, yeah, I've been meaning to go to their tap room for many years. Some audio friends of mine actually frequent there quite a bit, and they're good friends with the owners there now, and they have a great time there.
yeah, I popped over to our local Niwot liquor store and I just asked for something different, just something a little unique and flavorful. And that was like his immediate go-to. And I just said, let's roll with it. So I'm glad I did. It's
Yeah, that's a
pretty
good
awesome.
one.
Blood Orange Kolsch.
Yeah, German style Kolsch with blood orange. It's not nearly as fruity as you'd be afraid of sometimes. Really light.
Yeah, I kind of warned him I didn't want it to like taste like a bunch of flowers. And he said that this was not particularly sweet and it's got a pretty like narrowed flavor profile. It's not all over the place. Yeah, so I grabbed some photos of their place. Let's see if we can take a quick look and make it feel like we're hanging out at their tap room. Nice. You got to lean forward or you're going to disappear. So, yeah, we're going to just check the shop out because it looks
leaning forward now. I'm still going.
because Ariel hasn't been here before, or maybe he has. Now you are. Yeah, this place looks awesome. And wait, are they close to us? Where are they again?
Louisville.
Louisville? Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
We could take a little tour over there if you guys want to come visit us and go to Crystal Springs Brewing Company. We'll go visit them. Another one of our many Colorado proud beers. All right, well, this one is going to be really cool, everyone. I was really excited to talk about this. So I've got like this really neat piece of like air history kind of, and it's not something I don't think very many people know about at all.
No, certainly not.
So yeah, last week I kind of teased a little bit with a photo of a behemoth of an amplifier on this table. And more notably, I think people really was like bugged out by the capacitors on this thing. And I just figured, yeah, maybe this week is a good week to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. So this is the only pair of prototypes we made, and it never made it off the ground. But so this was uh, uh, 2004 and going into the 2005 CES. So early January 2005 is when we were trying to have these working. And so
So before the MXRs.
before the MXRs. And so this is probably, part of the impetus for the MXRs, at least in Charlie. I'm sure after the quote unquote failure of these, I think he probably stewed on it and came up with the idea for the MXRs after these did not fly.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just went back and looked at some of the schematics and the dates, and so I think um, this is actually one like Charlie seemed to be working on behind my back almost on these because I didn't know about the schematics or anything about these until it was getting really close to CES, and we didn't have the chassis work yet because our metal house was kind of dragging their feet. And so the story on these was that, um, we had the boards, but no chassis, most of the parts, the transformers, all that stuff. And so, um, what I think this was the first CES that I went to. And part of the reason was to deal with these amps on the chassis. So we drove, as we did then with CES in Vegas, we would drive some rented minivans typically from here to Vegas. We unloaded everything in the room. We usually went out, good 3, 4 days before the show actually started. So we get set up, get to see everything burning in and warm. But so we got there that day, unloaded, and I got back in the van and kept driving to Santa Barbara to our metal house. And um and and basically more or less to kind of oversee and show that we were serious that we needed the parts. And so basically they were started working on them then. So for about 2 days straight, 2.5 days maybe, it would sit in a little office inside their big, huge metal shop, and would wait for pieces to be finished. And they would finish a piece, and I would get it, and then I would build whatever I could with that, like another piece, and start building it up and building it up and
On the fly.
on the fly, building it on the shop floor practically. It was a really noisy place. It wasn't that pleasant. But yeah, so they got the last piece. And then I said, okay, well, there's no point in me staying here. I'll just get all this, put it in the van, go back to Vegas. And then, so then for about, I got back there to our hotel room, and for about 2 days straight, or a day and a half, Charlie and I then, finished the assembly, and then crossing our fingers that it would work. Fired it up the first time, didn't work. And so we spent a good day and a half trying to troubleshoot and get it to work properly, which we did not at the time. So we didn't publicly show it there, but we did privately show it to some of our special distributors and dealers, just to kind of show off what we were working on, thinking on. And so, yeah, I remember who exactly was really excited about it. I think maybe our Taiwanese distributor.
Taifu.
No,
Professional.
yeah, maybe professional. David Shu.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was particularly excited. It was actually really funny. But yes, we never got it working at the time. And we brought it back, and then we worked on it for the next several months, almost a couple of years even. And you had several issues. This was a monster monoblock. It weighs probably a little more than 200 pounds. We were shooting for about 400 watts into 8 ohms. So it has a huge EI core transformer. Has also had choke input power supply filtering, which most of our other products we had already moved away from. Because this was after the V5, after the AX7, after the K5, after CX7, all those products. So we were pretty well into our kind of bipolar transistor evolution.
Mm-hmm.
But so this thing was, the chassis work. I mean, it was really pretty special, and it was a really interesting idea. It's all really more or less CNC thick aluminum plate, so everything's like at least an inch thick. Some of it with some pockets machined out of it. It's like the lid has some some recesses machined out of it to clear the big bank of capacitors. Yeah. So it's pretty resonant. We would have damped that eventually,
Yeah.
but it's that thing right there is probably 20 pounds alone, but super stiff and gorgeous. And so had a great a really great cosmetic look with those kind of pinstripes in a way, but there's other kind of scalloped grooves along the side, and so
Hmm.
it's these pictures don't really do it justice how it was kind of meant to look like kind of a C and a C, that kind of like the silver portion with the black portion, so the one the black side wraps around, so it kind of looks like the pieces is kind of um two melded pieces in a way. um
Oh, that's getting
yeah
there.
yeah
That's close.
yeah
Yeah, that is super slick. And then so one thing that I like just kind of noticed too that I thought was really cool is that I mean the all right, so here we've got the or the transistors mounted to that super cool heat sink, which is dead from any sort of resonance. It's the densest heat sink I've ever experienced. That's a really ingenious concept, and that's caught a lot of attention as well. But like that, and then the fact that the power supply is sitting on top of this plate here,
yeah
which has all the transformer activity going on underneath of it. So everything was kind of sectioned off and kind of isolated from one another.
yeah 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 it was. Yeah, and that heatsink, you can see there's kind of tri-lobe holes in it right now. Originally, those were just smaller holes, and that was one of the large downfalls of the design, was that it's just for the 400 watts output power we were trying to deliver, it just there was enough mass, but there was not enough surface area to really dissipate that heat to the air. So we tried a couple things, like you know, by drilling one hole to kind of combine the three holes to make those kind of three lobe things to get some, to get less air restriction. And that helped a little bit. And then we also cut some grooves in the side to get some more entry points and some more surface area. And again, it um, didn't really have the tools at that point to really be able to model, um, or not familiar with, or did not have the tools to really be able to model just how much heat sinking we would actually need. So if we had, we've been threatening over the last couple of decades now to um, to get some new transformers made, and just for this one-off pair, just to make them 100-watt um, amplifiers, running, close to Class A potentially. Well, probably not. I'm a, I'm a, again, the issue is the heat. And so if we just make them like 100 watts, we dissipate a lot less heat. We could probably get this to work. The other downfall is that, it was very unstable, and we had some spectacular fireworks failures of some devices in
Oh
the
boy.
thing. They would basically, like, some of our regulators would even oscillate and self-destruct.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
And so how many watts or how much power was this baby trying to push?
400 watts,
400 watts
eight,
at 8.
and 8 ohms. And then one of the other reasons why it ran so hot, we couldn't anticipate enough heat, was because it had a regulated output stage. It was the first time we tried that, and which was ambitious. Um, and and again, if we scale it down a little bit, it absolutely works. Um, but it basically doubles the dissipation, because you basically have an entire, in our case, audio power amplifier as the power supply for the output stage. So it doubles everything. Doubles the power, doubles the devices. The thing was no holds barred. It was, it was going to be expensive. It's going to be big.
Huh.
Which is why some of our Asian distributors were so excited about it. It was it was actually kind of at the time, kind of ahead of the curve as far as, some of those big monster, uber expensive amps that became a bit more common, even now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not except that we never released it, of course. So, but
Sure. It's yeah, it's a monster. And so I had always been calling it the Godzilla amp, but it actually had an actual name.
yeah,
It wasn't like a sports car.
yeah, yeah. No, it was the Fulcrum.
The Fulcrum.
Yeah, Charlie gave it the name Fulcrum.
I think that's
But
pretty cool. That's a cool name.
yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, you might have to reserve the right to reuse it potentially.
Yeah, it could be like a signature series.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
signature model.
yeah, yeah. So you see, there are a couple of things that precluded some things to come after this. So the board material, you see that cream colored board material, which is ended up being the same material we currently use in the R series.
Yep.
So that ultra expensive, super high speed Rogers board material that was used here. These were semi-custom made Nichicon capacitors that they made for this test. It's got, I think it had all this whole yellow rail caps were all Teflon capacitors. Um, I think if we like costed out the bomb like today versus then, it'd be pretty scary what the bill would be.
I'm trying to count how many capacitors are on there right now. That I should have counted before.
You know, what else is going on in that thing? Yeah, I mean the yeah, so it had, like I said, that whole regulated output supply, and so it had that kind of there. If you look at that module, there's that kind of that piggybacked board, and so the output regulator board sits right on top of the output stage board, and so then has a bunch of connections right down to each transistor virtually.
Okay.
And so is um, yeah. So yeah, they had the choke input filtering, kind of like the V1 or the V3, those early products. It had that the uh, switching power relay like the V1. We had, see on the left side, there was some current sensing we were going to try to implement to use instead of fuses, so that we don't have fuses in that output stage
Huh.
path either. So we were going to have some current sensors that the logic would ideally detect very quickly and then shut off power if there was too much current being drawn. We've almost done something similar in the EX8 VX8, where we have gotten rid of the output rail fuses, and that's a pretty nice improvement. I was thinking that's not a insignificant improvement. Getting rid of those fuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and on the theme of the 8 series, I mean, this is an amazing display of power and everything, but the 8 series, I've kind of said it before and I'll say it again, it very much seems like it's us working smarter and not harder, and
Yeah.
really kind of gaining the most bang for the buck and efficiency out of what we do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I really do see, the X8 series really as a, kind of the evolution and the distillation of a lot of what we learned. And so, both in like like the MXR20 and the KXR20, we really kind of refined our, the whole diamond circuit and the double diamond. And so the X8 was really, really taking that and distilling it down to its kind of its core necessities, stripping away some of the frills that really made the R series special, but still retained a lot of it, especially and almost you know, what we've kind of experienced is that with the X8 series is almost a bit more fun. It's a bit more of a fun factor almost that I get with the 8 series over the R series. The R series is unbeatable and super special, just the resolution, the naturalist, everything. X8 series, you know, might lack a little bit of that, but it makes it more for and fun.
Yeah, I mean, in my perspective, it just seems like we've been able to really trickle down the sound of, our upper level stuff to this product line in such a great way that it's I see it having a huge impact on everything else that we start doing going forward too. Yeah, the Fulcrum Amplifier. I was a so part of this chassis over here, it's not completely sealed up, and I was able to slip a little spy phone shot inside. So
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I've even looked inside it.
yeah, it had just enough space to slip an iPhone inside of it, and you're getting inside spy shots of the Fulcrum live on Pints with Ayre, everyone. Our hundreds of fans.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's one of the probably the transformer. It might be one of the small chokes,
I
but that must be the transformer.
I think that's the
Yeah.
transformer, and
Yeah.
then there's two smaller ones off to the side.
Okay.
Actually, I'm in the way. You can see I'm blocking one of them.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, we actually tried. We're trying some actual EI core chokes here for the first time. Again, we never actually used any in production. We always, the 1 series products we used toroidal chokes.
Yeah. So, and I counted 58 capacitors.
Big capacitors. Yeah, and those are pretty good size capacitors. Pretty similar to the big blue ones we see in many of our kind of like the X5 series or even the R series stuff. You see those big blue capacitors, basically the same size as those, or about an inch in diameter, about 2 inches tall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then these ones actually, I didn't get a profile shot, but these ones, they stick up a little bit out of the chassis.
Yes, yes, yeah. As I was talking about, that lid has the relief for them to, yeah, to sit up above that plane.
That's a pretty good idea. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It was a wild week or so of trying to just for CES, and that's what and that's one of the things that for that era of Ayre, CES was always just a crazy time, because was everything was last minute. The design, the chassis, stuffing the boards, getting it working. It was always a race and always all-nighters, a few all-nighters, trying to get it built and ready, partly working at least, so we could take it to the show.
Yeah.
And I miss it and I don't. It wasn't the best way to develop, except that it did accelerate development because there was a firm deadline. So
That's a good point.
it had its benefits.
I mean, I feel like we're still living it. I mean, the last couple of show experiences this last year, it felt kind of like that. Late nights. I mean, getting some MXRs put together before Axpona weekend.
Yeah, I still don't think it quite lived up to the old CES days.
Yeah. No pedal to the metal driving out there.
Yeah, not that either.
Well, yeah, we've got a few opportunities to make that happen this year, maybe. A few shows we
Yeah,
got to go to.
yeah. We can go to the shows. I don't want to pull all nighters trying to build something new, though.
No, no, and not resurrect the fulcrum. Yeah. It is really cool though. I mean, it's super heavy, and as you mentioned, like each panel is like an inch thick almost, and I mean it is the most solid amp ever. I mean, other than the solid monoblock MXRs, I guess, but
Yep.
this thing is amazing. So yeah, ultra rare, kind of conceptual air acoustics product that only the small elite have known about.
Yep. Yeah.
I think it might foreshadow a little bit of some things too. Maybe. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No comment here.
Yes. I mean, it would be neat to potentially build some super crazy Class A amp, but it just means it's going to have to grow in size and weight, and I know some people will dig that, but the more that I spend time around the MXRs, the more I realize that is just that's the perfect reference amp footprint. And if more chassis designs were built efficiently, they would be smaller.
Yep.
But they're built inefficiently, so they're gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah. The MXR, that's was such a just kind of a just kind of that perfect mix of aesthetics, size, power, technology. It just can't be beat.
Yeah, and when you use the entire chassis itself
Yep.
as the heat sink, that
Yep.
that's kind of the ticket to allowing it to kind of shrink in size so much. If the heat sink was not integral to the entire thing, then it would be like probably 2/3 larger than it is. Huh?
Easily. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I like it. All right. Well, do you know have any other stories to share on this? I know this was kind of as you mentioned, the top secret kind of Charlie project almost.
Yeah. Uh no, I think that covers most of it. It was just a brief wild ride. And then, a few months afterwards, just trying to see if we can get it to work, and finally realizing that just particularly the heatsink form factor and that power with a regulated output stage was just not ever going to fly. Um, we definitely learned a lot from it, which did end up going into the MXR, and sort of stuff about getting the power supply regulator stabilized, how to do that. There's a lot of tricks here that we learned that did go into the MXR, so it wasn't all in vain.
Yeah, I mean, I think it paved the way for some really cool things that came and are coming maybe. So that, yeah, there's some of our beautiful MXRs right now, like the most recent set actually that we just made
Yep.
on their way to South Korea. Yeah, so the MXR and the Fulcrum and the VX8, nice lineage of power amplifiers. Were there ever any top secret Ariel Brown projects that Charlie didn't know about?
Didn't know about. Uh, there was a little headphone amp that I worked on, but that was he was kind of in on that, gave some guidance on that early on. Was a little wooden box, really simple, just JFET buffer stage. It was really pretty cool. I still have like a dozen of the wooden boxes I made for it. I'm gonna reuse those for something.
That's really cool. I mean, probably not an entire wooden box, but what about like a wooden top or something? Like, what if there was a product that had a wooden top? Like a little.
That's the practicalities of that makes it, when you're trying to ship around the world and have it survive and not crack and not, you know, you know, um, expand and contract.
Hmm.
It's you've got to play some tricks and how to use it in certain places where it can handle that expansion. Um, so it's really tricky and pretty risky to do any real wood panels or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would love to. I love working with wood. I love fancy woods.
Yeah.
I have a whole shop at home. I've got a huge stock of old cherry and maple and
Oh, nice.
koa wood and all kinds of stuff I have stashed waiting for nice projects.
Hmm.
But as far as mass produced audio, it's pretty risky.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, a little headphone amplifier. That could be the Ariel Brown signature
That'll
product.
be fun.
Yeah. So we can come out with a swinging for the fences Fulcrum like amp a la Charlie and uber crazy headphone amp
Yeah,
a la Ariel Brown.
I like it.
Nice. All right, one day. All right. Well, I think that's about all the questions and things that I can think of about the Fulcrum, but I just I know I teased it and a lot of people were starting to ask about it in various channels, our Facebook and Instagram, and started reaching out and wondering what are all those capacitors? What is that thing? So I like to drop little Easter eggs in a lot of the things that we post. So if you're
Yeah.
observant, there's things to be had in the background. Well, yeah, I'm almost out. This was delicious. I'm so glad I
Yeah.
grabbed this. Cheers to you, Ariel. Cheers to you all. Thank you for tuning in to our episode of Pints with Air again. And we hope you have a great weekend. Check out Crystal Springs Brewing. And I never say this, but like and follow and subscribe to us. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and that's pretty
Wow.
awesome. That's a milestone
Yeah, not
for,
bad
for
for a small
YouTube.
company. Yeah.
Yeah. But we appreciate you all tuning in frequently and for all of your comments and support and suggestions. So keep those coming, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Cheers.